Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett. Oh no, I think I'm about to have another episode.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie Jewett with the Renovating Retirement Podcast, bringing you another episode. This is episode 83, Keeping Your Money, Keep It Global. This is part of an 8-part series based on the chapters of a book that I'll hopefully have coming out early 2017 called Keeping Your Money. The chapters are Keep It in Focus, Keep It Global, Keep It Real, Keep It Working, Keep It Big, Keep It All, Keep It Collateralized, and Keep It in the Family. Now, what do I mean by global? I mean integrated or holistic, working together. Basically, keep it all working together rather than having the separate parts of your financial plan fighting each other or causing friction. You don't want the parts of your financial plan working against each other, but all of them going the same direction. To move forward in a car, you want to take your foot off of the brake pedal and put it onto the gas pedal. Imagine for a moment putting one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas pedal and pressing them at the same time. Unfortunately, most financial plans that I've reviewed, and I've reviewed over 1,000, most financial plans today work something like that, where people are putting their foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. Maybe the investment strategy that you're using is creating a huge future tax consequence for you. Maybe your mortgage strategy is creating risks that are unnecessary or lowering your rates of return on your investments. Things like that. Now, let's do a little bit of a review on what makes something true in the first place. Does popularity make something true? A whole lot of people believing it? Wasn't there a time where most people on the earth, as a matter of fact, everyone except for one human being, thought that the earth was flat? And one person thought it was round? Who was right? What makes something true? Popularity? No. What about the personality of the teacher? What if the most popular person in the United States says something false? Does that make it true? Does something being well advertised or having a lot of money behind it, promoting it, does that make it true? Your neighbors saying it or doing it or using it in their financial plan, does that make it true? What if your family says it? Oh my goodness, what if your mom or dad says it or your spouse? And dun 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 dun, the gods of finance. What if your CPA says it? What if you read it online or in a book? Does anything make something true other than it just being true? No. The only thing that makes something true is that it is indeed true. It can be tested and proven to be true over and over again. Gravity is true and faithful every time you test it. Gravity will pull things towards the earth. Throw a ball off of a bed, jump off of a building, please don't do that. An airplane, whatever, stops having power or the wings break off or whatever. Gravity is faithful and things will fall towards the earth. If a very popular scientist taught that gravity didn't exist, he would only make himself look like a fool. If a very popular stock salesman teaches that you should hate annuities, all he accomplishes is he makes himself look like a fool. Truth only comes from things actually being true. The fact that popular financial pundits say that you should pay off your mortgage, that you should postpone taxes to a later date using 401ks and IRAs, and that the market, the stock market, that you make more money there than any other place you can put your money, does not make those things actually true. In fact, all three pillars of financial deception, which I just mentioned, have been soundly disproven by smarter and more honest advisors and authors. If you relax and just accept what you're being told by the majority of friends and advisors, you will suffer a much less lucrative and more risky, less enjoyable retirement. Truth is not popular in this industry because of one thing. It does not pay the advisors, us, it doesn't pay the professionals well to do what's best for you. I could give you hundreds of examples. Literally, to do what's right for you, we get punished. And what does human nature do with that? Most people in human nature go for what pays the most, and they let you suffer so that they can have an incredible life. Truth has to be fought for. It's available. And it's the reason I provide this show for you and I provide myself to you. But you have to fight against all the traditions, the advertising, the well-meaning family members and friends in order to attain and follow the truth. But glory, hallelujah, the truth will set you free, baby. Now, Let's get into today's topic. Keep it global. In this chapter of my book, Keeping Your Money, I cover the need for keeping your financial plan global or holistic, or what I call financial architecture. Every part of your finances must be working together in harmony, or friction will take a toll on your lifestyle. Just like when you're building a home, the masons, the roofers, the electricians, the carpenters, the drywallers, and the painters, they must work together. All parts of that home at the end must be supporting and contributing to each other to last through earthquakes and hurricanes and rain and things like that. You've got 5 parts to your financial plan, and the word merit, M as in Mary, E-R-I-T as in Tom, is an acronym for these 5 parts of your financial plan. I call this global outlook or financial architecture, I call it merit planning. I created it 11 years ago. I've helped thousands of people with this. I'm now writing books on it. Merit planning stands for mortgage planning, estate planning, retirement planning, insurance planning, and tax planning. The acronym is MERIT: mortgage plan, estate plan, retirement plan, insurance plan, and tax plan. Now, merit planning is the 3rd part in my 3-part model for how to have an amazing retirement lifestyle. First, you need to build it, then test it, then make it better. Build it, test it, improve it. Build it, test it, improve it, okay? To build it, we use the 3 INS process, I-N as in Nancy, or what I call the retirement plan that never fails. The 3 INS process says that you need 3 types of money in your life. You need in-case money, income money, and then increase money. This is the process where you first start with how much money you have. Let's say it's $1 million that you have in investable assets. You add up everything you have in the bank, IRAs, brokerage accounts. We're not talking about your home equity and things like that and value of your swords and jewelry. Just investable assets that you choose where to put them. Say you have $1 million when you start out, okay? We're trying to decide how much of that $1 million should be allocated to emergency funds, where you can get it right away. How much should be allocated to producing a paycheck once your paycheck goes away when you quit working? And then how much is left after those 2 allocations? How much is left for you to grow it, for you to invest it and grow it to try to keep up with inflation, try to cover healthcare costs in the future, and maybe even leave behind an inheritance to your loved ones or charities? Once you've made those decisions, let's say at the end of the planning process, you've got $100,000 in emergency funds, you've got $400,000 you put into income producing financial products, and that leaves you with $500,000 left over to put into the market, maybe with a third-party money manager for growth, or inside of a life insurance policy for tax-free growth. Whatever it is, you've got $100,000 in your in-case accounts, $400,000 in your income accounts, $500,000 in your increase accounts. Now, you haven't chosen which products yet. You haven't chosen the best tool to put each of those chunks of money into, but you have divided your net worth into the appropriate amounts. Now you've built it, and let's say then you go ahead and you pick the tools. You work with an advisor, and you get the best tool for your in-case accounts. You get the best tool for your income. With the highest income, you get the best tool for your growth. After that, when the tools have been put in place, you're going to come back with part 2, and we're going to test it. We've built it, and now we're going to test it. And the way you test it is using the 5 lives of retirement that you've heard me talk about, the 5 lives of retirement test. What happens if you have a long life? What happens if you have a short life? What happens if you have a rough life? What happens if you have a sick life? And what happens if you just have life go wonderfully, and eventually you die and move into the next life? And there are questions that get asked of these tools to say, okay, if I have a long life and live to 130, do I have income? And what is that income? And does it go up? What if one of us dies? Is the other one going to be okay? Do we have access to money in rough times? What if we get sick and need to go into long-term care? Will the other person be okay when we finally pass away? How much are we leaving behind? Are we okay with that? This test goes back and determines whether or not what you've chosen for your tools takes care of you no matter what happens in the world. If it doesn't, you go back and you make some adjustments. Or maybe you have to buy some extra insurance to cover short life. Or maybe you need a long-term care policy. Or maybe you need to go back and get a different income tool where you have double income if you go into a nursing home. There's all kinds of things you can do. But you build it first, and then you test it. If your plan passes the 5 lives of retirement test, then you have a good, sound financial plan that'll protect you no matter what happens. So where does merit planning, or the third piece, where does make it better, or where does improve it come into play here? A plan that passes the 5 lives of retirement test is kind of like a house with walls and floors and a roof and toilets and things like that, the basics, sinks, countertops. You can live there and you'll be just fine. But wouldn't it be nice to improve it or make it better? Wouldn't carpet and drapes and fresh paint and some tile just make the house so much nicer? Isn't it nice to have furniture in a home and sleep in a bed rather than on the floor? Is a bed or carpet necessary for survival? No. But don't those things make life so much more enjoyable? Yes. This is what merit planning does for your finances and for your retirement lifestyle. None of these strategies in the merit planning model are necessary for survival, but they can make life so much better, so much more enjoyable. You can earn more money, have more money for medical expenses, leave more money behind to loved ones when you pass away, whether that's before your time or at the end, and you can pay a lot less taxes, and it's all budget neutral. All of these are asset optimization strategies where your budget stays exactly the same. You don't spend any more than you're spending now. We are looking to use efficiency in merit planning and say, what benefits can we squeeze out of this at no cost? Now, what is mortgage planning? The M in merit planning stands for mortgage planning. And why is it so important? Go back and listen to episode 74 through episode 80, where I went and did a deep dive into the mortgage planning world and the role it plays in your retirement. Or you can go to my website, jewett.wealth.com, Jewett wealth.com, navigate to books that I recommend, look for Missed Fortune 101 by Douglas Andrews, and read chapters 6, 7, and 8, where he talks about it. He's the one that trained me 11 years ago. I've also come out and written my own book on this called The 2 Ways to Be Debt Free, which you can get on my website. Or go listen to the podcast, whatever it is. For now, let me just say that I think the mortgage is the most powerful financial tool at your disposal for increasing your rate of return on investments, minimizing the risk that you have of losing money, and for lowering the taxes that you pay. Whether it's a reverse mortgage or a regular mortgage, which we actually call a forward mortgage in the industry, no matter what the mortgage is, I think it's the most powerful tool for you to get the things you actually want in your life, and most people have no idea how to use it to get those things. You can have more income for long life. You can leave more income or more money behind if you pass away suddenly for short life. You can have more money for emergencies without penalties for rough life. You can have more money for long-term care in sick life, and you can leave more money behind using mortgage strategies, and they're things that you would have never thought of on your own. Now, the E in merit planning is for estate planning. What's estate planning? Estate planning is basically two things. We're trying to avoid probate, which means you're dead and your will says where you want your assets to go, but you're not there to sign the papers to transfer the assets. So they have to take it to court, which is called probate, and your family has to wait 9 months to a year or whatever it is these days. Court's not fast, court's not fun, court's expensive. So they got extra fees, and it's a big old pain. When they're supposed to be celebrating you, they're in court. We don't want that. So you solve that with living trusts and things like that, working with estate planning attorneys. The other thing estate planning can do is asset protection, protecting you from lawsuits, particularly if you own rental properties. Talk to an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but talking to attorneys, if you own rental properties and one of those renters steps on a rake and hits themselves in a tooth and knocks out a tooth, and they decide to come after you, you could have some trouble if you lose that case. Estate planning is protecting your estate or leaving it in a way that is optimal for the people that are receiving it. The R in merit planning is retirement planning. What's retirement planning? People, retirement planning is and has always been about income replacement. It has never been about buying stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. That's stupid. That's been pushed by the mutual fund retail salesmen who spend more money than anyone in this industry, convincing you that the only thing that exists is mutual funds, which you have no business even being in after you have about $50,000. Retirement planning is about income. What is going to go away when you stop working? Your income, people. You lose your paycheck when you stop working, and you need to replace it with a paycheck, not with a giant chunk of money called a nest egg that you're going to hope you don't run out of before you die. That's an amateur way to look at retirement. You replace paychecks with paychecks. There are tools these days that can give you guaranteed, increasing, tax-free income for life. Retirement planning is about income. What's insurance planning about? Insurance planning is about all the things that can go wrong. What if you die early? What if you get sick? What if you need long-term care? What if you go into a nursing home? All those kind of things are covered under insurance planning. Or another thing that's covered under insurance planning is, how do I leave more money behind to loved ones or to my favorite charity or alma mater at no cost to me? This is where I say I could solve world hunger in about a year or whatever We could just solve world hunger by snapping our fingers at no cost to anybody. Because enough people, if I just gave them $15,000 more death benefit, just the people between the ages of 65 and 85 every year who naturally die, if they just each had $15,000 more death benefit, we could solve world hunger every single year. Now, am I going to be able to work with that many people? Absolutely not. But we always start with a bullseye, and you aim at the bullseye or you never come close. We could solve world hunger if we wanted to, because I can find that $15,000 of extra death benefit at no cost to almost anybody. And at the end, what's tax planning? Last but not least, tax planning I think is probably the most important thing for an advisor to study and can have more of an effect on your retirement than anything else. Am I getting your rate of return from 6 or 7% to 8 will do almost nothing compared to eliminating the taxes that you're paying. A dollar doubling for 20 periods, meaning a dollar turns into $2, then 4, then 8, then 16, and by the end it gets really big. A dollar doubling for 20 periods turns into $1,048,000. Go ahead and in an Excel spreadsheet, you can do this yourself. But what if you tax it along the way? What if it's taxed as earned? What if it's taxed at 27%? So your dollar turns into $2, you have a dollar profit, we have to take 27 cents out of that, so you end up with $1.73. Then we double that, take 27% off of those gains. If you double a dollar for 20 time periods and tax it at just 27%, do you know how much money you end up with instead of $1,048,000? It's $57,000 and a little bit of change. The whole million's gone. You lost $1 million to taxes, and you have just over the $48,000. You have $57,000. So instead of $1,048,000, you have 57. Is there any question in your mind why people are suffering so much in retirement and why 94% of the people in the country aren't ready for retirement by age 65? People, you can't give all your money to the IRS and expect to be okay with all the other challenges like inflation, medical expenses, and things like that. Tax planning is of the essence. It must be done. You have to have an advisor who understands taxes. Go back and listen to the episode with David McKnight, who wrote the book The Power of Zero, or The Power of 0%, talking about how do we get retirees in a 0% tax bracket. I'm writing a book called Better House, Lower Taxes, about how to sell the house you're in when you're in retirement, buy one across the street if you want to. And the way you buy it, the way you hold those houses, you can eliminate 90 to 100% of the taxes you pay on your Social Security or your IRA distributions. So people, I hope this is a little bit helpful just as an introduction to this chapter of my book, saying it's got to be global. We got to do financial architecture here. You can't have a plumber build a house, and you cannot have a mutual fund salesman build a retirement plan, or you cannot have a whole life insurance salesman build a retirement plan. A retirement plan must be built by a merit planner, by a certified renovating retirement expert. Mortgage plan, estate plan, retirement plan, insurance plan, and tax plan. So come back for the next show where I'll go into the chapter called Keep It Real, talking about how to earn a real rate of return instead of a fake rate of return, and how to know if your advisor is giving you a false number when they tell you how your money is doing. But for today, keep it global. Next time, keep it real. And always, I think you people are the best. Bye-bye.
Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett.
But that's all, folks.